Rachel, a consultant from the TBH Adelaide office, and for today's Meet the Grad segment, I'm joined by Vafa, a consultant from our TBH Perth office. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks Rachel, and yourself?
I'm good. So first we'll talk about what and why TBH. So firstly, what did you study and how long have you been working with us for?
Well, I've studied construction management and economics, and I've been with TBH for about 2 years now. I was lucky enough that in the first 6 months of working with TBH, they let me work part-time. So I was able to finish off my degree while working at TBH. I think it was about 3 or 4 days a week. How about yourself? What did you study?
I studied Bachelor of Engineering Civil and Environmental, and I also did a science degree majoring in geology. And I was similar to you. I actually started at TBH in 2016 and I was still studying at the time. So I did 2 days a week as an undergrad for about 2.5 years. And then I became full-time at the beginning of 2019. So 2 and a bit years now.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
How do you explain like the work that you do at TBH to others?
So I see it as 2 ways. One way is at the front end side of things, which is the project management kind of stuff. So that's to be able to see where we are with the project and what we should be doing and how to get it back on track. And the other side is the claims side, which is often at the end of a project. So there might be a dispute and we'll be in there to do some dispute resolution between 2 parties or represent the courts or a lawyer, obviously being independent in each of these. That's kind of like the main way that I explain, but I feel as though I got some room to improve. What do you say, Rachel?
I really try and get mine into an elevator pitch. So I sort of say, my job is to help projects finish on time and on budget. And then when that doesn't happen, my job is to come in and figure out why and help, like you said, courts or lawyers figure out who's responsible for things taking longer or costing more, that kind of thing. So front end and back end.
That's a much more eloquent way of saying it. I might have to copy some of those, Rachel.
Thanks.
Do you remember when you first started at TBH, like why you chose TBH as a company that you went for?
Yeah, so I did quite a bit of work experience as an undergrad at uni. So TBH wasn't the first place that I worked at. And I sort of came to realize that I was very interested in the project management side of things. I liked seeing the big picture stuff. I liked planning things that was really aligned to what I was good at and why I really got into engineering in the first place. And I actually heard about TBH through a family member. She worked at the company in a different state and said, it's really great, you should check it out. Is that something you're interested in? And I said, yes, please give me the contact of someone and I'll see if I can get some summer work experience, which most engineering students have to do. So I contacted them and said, hey, I'm really keen in project management services. Will you take me on as work experience? Which they did, luckily. And I did that for a few weeks. And then not long after that, they offered me the job that I could work a couple of days a week while I was finishing uni. So very lucky. And I just, I like the project management side of things. So that's kind of what led me here. How about you?
It's kind of similar. I like the idea of being in consultancy and having a range of different things that we do, and you're not bogged down on one big project forever and always. And I think something that stood out in the interview process was when I was speaking to the people that were interviewing me, which were a associate director and a senior consultant. I could see the warmth and the kindness that they had, and that they were just people like everybody else, and they weren't there to make you feel, you know, scared or anything like that. They're just there to see and get the best out of you. And it made me feel pretty comfortable. So I took it on and I thought, yeah, why not?
That's cool. I think you probably answered my next question a little bit with that answer, but what's your favorite part about TBH now that you've worked here for a little while?
Well, I guess it's similar to the reason why I chose in the first place, which is the people, which have always been so helpful, as well as the work, which is that being able to go from different roles. You know, you're working on a claim, you're doing data, then you're looking at a big project, you're talking to subcontractors, talking to project managers. It's a really cool part of the business that we get exposed to so many different stakeholders in the construction industry.
Yeah.
How about yourself? Did you find that that was one of the main motivating factors in why you like working here?
I love what you said. I agree with all of that. Also, for me, I think TBH, it's a big enough company that you get to work on really cool projects in lots of different industries, but it's also a small enough company that you feel like you really belong as a member of the company, and you don't get lost in the number of being one of 1,000 or whatever employees. You really matter in the company, and you are important. And I think that's my favorite part about being here. And
that's a good point.
Yeah.
So when you first were applying for the job, do you remember what helped you get the job, or what aspects might have helped you stand out in the application process?
Well, I think for me, because I came through the work experience route, so I think it was just being really conscientious and really keen to like get involved and try it out. And as I said, like I did work experience in more companies before starting at TBH, and then I sort of came to them and said, hey, like I'm really interested in project management. I see that you guys have an office in Adelaide. Can I come in for a few weeks and like check it out? I'm willing to do anything. So it was just about being interested and like giving it a go. And then, because I liked the work experience, they liked me, it was a good fit, and took on the job from there. So for me, it was really about getting involved in the industry and showing an interest from very early on. What about you?
I think something that I was really conscious of in the interview process was just being who I am, as opposed to what I think people want you to be in an interview.
Yeah.
I think having that just that natural flow of conversation and genuinely just asking questions about how people are and what they're doing, it kind of just helped me bridge that gap, which is often very nerve-wracking in your interview process. So yeah, by being just who you are and being relaxed, I think it really helps shine through the kind of person you are, and most likely the type of fit that you'll be in the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked a bit about your interview then, and in one of your other previous questions. What was that hiring process like for you?
Well, my interview process was actually a little bit funny because I did my first interview and I went in and had a great time, and they said they'd let me know within 2 days. And I thought, oh, they're probably not going to call me back. It's fine. And we had a wedding in Indonesia, like in Bali. And so we were in Bali, and I got a call from a number, and I picked up, and they said, hi, this is so-and-so from TBH. We'd like to get you in for a second round. Are you free this Friday? And I go, I'm kind of in Bali, Indonesia. So they were like, we saw you like 2 days ago. Are you there now? And I was like, yep. And they were like, okay, well, let's do an interview via Zoom or Skype. And so I remember that day in the little hotel that we were in, I rearranged all the furniture, made sure I had like a white background, and then did the interview process over the phone. And yeah, it was pretty good. Again, I think it was having that human interaction and making sure that, you talk about your strengths and talk about places where you know that you're going to be great at, as well as identifying places where you need to improve and being open with that. For instance, I hadn't had any experience with P6, which is Primavera 6, and I made that very clear, but I said I'm more than happy and keen to learn, as opposed to pretending like I know everything, which, let's be honest, as graduates, now that we've been here for 2.5 years, we realized we probably didn't know that much.
Yeah, I love to say to people like who are still in uni, like, oh, you think you know lots about Excel. You don't. Like I was the same, thought I knew everything about Excel, and then like 3 weeks into working, I was like, I know nothing.
Yeah, literally. It hits you in the face a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, my hiring process was like different to yours. I wasn't in any international places for my interviews, but because I came on for work experience, so I came in, I did my 3 or 4 weeks of that, and then was said, hey, I'm keen for a part-time role. Is this something you can offer? And we sort of went through the process of getting that to happen. And then I like to tell people that I had the longest probation ever, because I was 2.5 years as a casual. So I'm like, they didn't have to offer me a full-time job at the end of that time, but they did. So very grateful.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Having worked here for a while now, what sort of skills do you think are useful when you're working at TBH?
I think you need to be a problem solver. I I think you need to love solving problems. I think your mind needs to think that way all the time. I think that is one of the biggest things that I have found people who really excel at TBH are good at. They think critically and they think outside the box, and just, yeah, that mindset of, oh, that's a challenging problem, but how could we solve it? We could do this, this, and this, or this, this, and this, and like working out which way you want to go, because we don't work on jobs that necessarily just have an easy answer. It's not always simple to go from A to B. You sometimes have to go via C and D and Z and then come back to B. So I think the biggest thing is problem solving, and communication as well is a big one.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with that. I was thinking about this question, and it made me realize that communication is a big part. Oftentimes communicating with people that you're working with, as well as other people, about what you're doing, because you're able to obviously glean from the experiences of others as opposed to having to reinvent the wheel every time. I will say that some basic Excel skills is probably also useful as well.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.